Hey, Coach Candace here, and I want to take a moment and educate on a topic, or I want to say a frame of mind that would benefit a lot of people in adopting. Um, and this is adopting a learning mindset, which you can apply this to any aspect of your fitness and nutrition journey. So this isn't just about getting the best out of your workout. All that, yes, it can help you do that, or again, improving your relationship with how you work to improve your nutrition. Um, but I like to think that, like, with a learning mindset, you can view absolutely everything can be an opportunity to practice. And when I was thinking about this little educational session I wanted to do, I wanted to kind of just focus on how everything is an opportunity to practice. Because often, like, if you reframe times where we feel like where we fell short, like too many times people view it in a pass fail, like they score things as either they pass or they fail. In other words, like they have an all or nothing perspective. But if you take instead, like maybe at times where maybe you fell short or something didn't go as well as you would like instead of viewing like, oh God, like everything went to crap, like how about like, okay, this is my opportunity to practice, and what, like, how would you like rebound from that? So, and I often like to say, like, no losses, only lessons. Like it's a true loss if you don't learn from it, or if you don't change something as a result of what you learn from it. But let's look at some examples here. So one, nutrition. Like so many times I get the questions of like, okay, well, what should I eat on comp day, or what should I eat on race day? Like, well, every training session you have is an opportunity to practice your nutrition. So, experiment with something different for breakfast if you're someone who works out in the morning, or if you're gonna do like a certain type of workout that maybe is a little bit more high intensity. Well, what did you eat last time, and how did you feel in that workout? Well, then maybe you felt fueled as a result of eating that, so then stick with that. Or maybe you ate in a certain way and you're like, man, you just didn't have the energy for your workout. Well, now you've learned something and you can adjust for the next time. So not instead like, oh geez, I didn't eat enough, my workout went to crap. Like, well, no, now I just learned I need to fuel differently next time. um, or again, like the things that I know that I can eat on race day, like I've practiced over and over, and sometimes it went well and sometimes it did not. Like I practiced all that in training. Like I didn't wait till race day to figure that out. So when people give me ask me the questions like, well, what should I eat for my race? Like those are different things that you should be practicing leading up to that. And again, even for someone who may never show up for a race or do any kind of competition, like just showing up for your workout, like, did I feel fueled and ready to give my best for the day? Well, then repeat that. But if you didn't, then that's an opportunity to do something differently the next time. And also, too, many times in nutrition, people often talk about like on track versus off track. Like, oh, geez, I just feel like I just had a rough weekend. Like, okay, well, then this is your opportunity to practice getting back on track. And ultimately, like, I struggle with like on track versus off track, but I feel like many times, like, maybe we're eating in alignment with our goals better than others. So how do you get back in the swing of things? Like, instead of saying like, oh, geez, like I fell off again, like, well, no, this is my opportunity to get back on track. Because like, if you have to think like, everybody thinks like life exists in like this perfect continuum, but like these up and down, or I like to say like hiccups, like that's life and that's always going to happen. Like maybe you go on vacation, you're more liberal on vacation, like you have to get back into like this week. So like you're going to have like other circumstances in your life where you need to get back on track, whether it was just the result of, again, not having systems in place where you didn't plan, prepare, prioritize well. Or again, I have parents of young kids and like the household gets sick and maybe like nobody has the energy to do much of anything. Like, okay, well, how do I rebound after a tough period, whatever it might be? Like, how do I get back on track with that? Or again, that's an opportunity to practice. Like, okay, like some things are out of my control because maybe the parent's the well one and they're dealing with sick kiddos. Like, okay, well, how do you control what you can control when you can't necessarily get to the gym and exercise in the way that you would like, or you're going out to the game to watch your kid play? Like, how do you still like stay aligned with your goals during those times? So again, like all of that is an opportunity to practice and does not have to be pass or fail. Similarly, we can look at exercise in the same way. So many of the reasons that people give for, let's say, not pursuing an exercise program or not sticking with an exercise program, like are all opportunities to like practice and navigate through, because that's almost like saying, well, I care about my health 1 month out of the year, but then the other 11 months I really don't care, or it's just not a priority to me. When like that can probably be one of the biggest mistakes you can make in your overall health, because when you're 75 in chronic disease, well, you can't say, well, geez, I was just too busy to care for myself. So you kind of got to figure out a way to deal with that. So like your busy schedule, like, okay, well, what do I need to do to still help me make sure I've had time for myself? So does that have to do with like managing your schedule well, or adjusting the date and time that you work? So, or fitting it in differently. So, for example, like I had, a woman, she was, at a sporting event with her kid. Well, instead of waiting in the car for different things, like she went out and used that time to walk. So like, many times it's just using your time that you have more effectively. And again, like, okay, geez, my schedule got away from me this week, so what do I need to do differently? Not like, geez, I guess I'm another failure in another like fitness program. Like, well, no, like, what do you need to do differently? Like, do you need to have some like equipment for yourself, like to stay in, maybe it's more accessible for you to maintain your workout routine if you do it at home. Like, again, everything is an opportunity to reflection and learning from that, and to practice when these things come up. Because again, like, you're never going to be done having like intermittent busy schedules. Like, we all have different seasons throughout the year and throughout life. So you need to how do you adapt to that? And again, I kind of gave the example of like post-vacation eating, but like some people want to go away on their vacation and not work out, and that's fine. Because many times they're busy in other ways, or sometimes people just need the downtime to relax. But like, how do you get back in the swing of things and not let 1 week of like being laid back turn into 2 to 3 to now like 2 to 3 weeks to now turn into like 6 months to like a year, and you haven't worked out. So again, getting back in vacation, like, how do I practice getting back on track with making sure that I make the time for myself? And exercise, again, like a learning mindset and an opportunity to practice. Like, hey, when new movements come your way, like, how do you adapt and learn to taking on a new movement? And I threw in here the rough days. Like, I've often talked about like the rule of thirds. You're going to have a third of your workouts where you feel amazing and you're so glad that you do it and you just feel like you're making so much progress. And then you're going to have like a third of your workouts that feel like absolute crap and you wonder why you show up and do any of this. And then a third of your workouts will be kind of be average. There's nothing special about them, but you kind of showed up and did them. Like, what can you learn from those rough days? Like, if anything, I always try to have a reflection, even on a day that I don't feel like, again, it was a third of those days where it feels like it went like crap. Like, I could probably still like dig deep and find something that went well that day. Sometimes it just might be like my thing that went well that day was I showed up and did something, and I didn't just completely sandbag the day and do nothing. So again, I kind of look at it as like, no, I didn't like fail and that I did nothing. Like, I did what I could that day, or I did something, and maybe it was just showing up when I really didn't feel like it. So all that to say, just really work to reframe in your mind the times where things don't necessarily go as you would like. Okay, and what is this my opportunity to practice right now? And again, like one of my remote clients, like, he kind of felt like he noticed himself where maybe he had a week of more like meetings or on the road meetings, and he's like, I probably could have been better prepared, or I could have ordered this. So like, again, not like, oh geez, I guess I'm a failure again this week. No, like, he took the time, reflected back on that, and already thought like, hey, this week was coming up again, like, this is how I would plan and prepare differently. So I'm just telling you, like, so many times people focus on the tasks involved, like whether it be the workout or the meal plan when it comes to improving their health. But many times it's wrapping your mind around these little things, these little challenges that come up, and kind of like learning how to better navigate them, or not navigate them in the way that you would previously. Like, for example, like a poor way of navigating getting off track with exercise or feeling off track with nutrition. Many times people like automatically flip to like, well, I'm going to severely undereat, I'm going to exercise more, and that's how I'm going to right side myself, when actually that does not work at all, as many people often find out. So like, but what really works is just resuming your habits, and that's why it takes that's why it's so important to develop those habits and routine, because that's what's going to help you resume the normalcy that you desire. So I hope you found that helpful. Just as much as I love educating people about the tasks and things that they can do to improve their health and fitness, I really love educating on the mindset around that, because many times, like, people focus on their health and fitness 6 to 8 weeks at a time, but you live in your body for a lifetime. And like, adopting and changing this like learning mindset will carry you well into your later years, versus just something that you just kind of pick up and do for 6 weeks and then never do again. So I always like to summarize it for people. Like, I want to help you lose 10 pounds that you keep off for life versus 10 pounds that you lose in 4 weeks only to gain back that and even more. So by all means, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm always happy to help, and hope you have a wonderful day.